Hello guys and welcome back to the Motor Recon podcast. I'm your host Adam. I'm joined again today by Rob. First of all, I'd just like to quickly apologise if you are watching this for the camera. We don't have the gentleman in directing the few cameras like we had last week, and we are trying to keep our distance, so that's the reason we set up like this. But for those listening, obviously that's not going to be a problem for you guys, so we'll kick straight off. So the one we're going to talk about today is sort of the decline of the Repmobile, if you want to call it that, sort of your mid-sized saloon cars that have always back in the day, the outside lane of motorway, 2-inch off your back bumper, going from meeting to meeting up and down the UK's motorways.
Yeah, you would say that obviously, given that remote working has become an awful lot better in recent years, and with the COVID crisis that's obviously currently going on, I imagine that's only just going to speed up the decline of the Repmobile. It's just a bygone era.
Yeah,
really,
it is a bygone. I mean, I remember the day back in. I mean, my parents still have one, like obviously what you consider a Repmobile, but looking at things like at the saloon cars, there's still quite a large selection of them out there. But we're going to try and look at ones we wouldn't normally talk about, because these are the cars that manufacturers are offering that we might not necessarily cover, and it's actually some hidden gems out there, I think.
Yeah, the prerequisite for the list that we're covering today is they have to be 5-door. They have to be suitable for long-distance motorway driving. They're diesels because of that. Essentially, you want to deliver good economy over a long distance, full Repmobile style. But we also chucked in the prerequisite of we wanted it to be a bit of fun on the B roads as well. So,
yeah, it could be a little bit sporty now and then if you need to.
If you want to as well, because, I mean, your full-born traditional Repmobile, there is nothing duller. Whereas I think a lot of the options we're looking at today are more interesting than that, at least.
Yeah, and the way we might have potentially spec'd them, we tried to get them roughly similar prices, but you'll see why when some of them aren't later on. So yeah, I also agree with you that I think this market for these cars are potentially a dying art. I think we don't see as many of them around as we used to by a long way.
Not at all.
And Ford, for example, are discontinuing the Mondeo because they're just... no one's buying them anymore.
If you're a family, you're going for like an SUV type
small
affair,
SUV or big SUV in most cases, or even the people carrier's died, to be honest, hasn't it? It's gone more for now just the SUV type thing. So the first one we're going to kick off with, now this is a car we're both a little bit partial to in the looks department, but it's the Vauxhall Insignia. Now I personally think it is a very good looking car,
especially the all new one that's just come out. I think I've no idea whether it's based on the Peugeot 508 or not, but it looks remarkably similar to the Peugeot 508.
Yes, it does, to be fair.
And that's a good thing. It looks great.
That is not a bad thing. And now, obviously, with Vauxhall being owned by the Peugeot group, like I say, the new Corsa is based on the 208. So I think this might not be on the basis this is a mid-range facelift from the Insignia. It's not a whole new, brand new car. So I think they might still have the old underpinnings on here just from before when Peugeot took over. But the design department's definitely got their inspiration from
it looks great from the outside. I'd say out of the list that we've got on for today, it is one of the strongest looking cars.
Yeah, and I would agree. So the one we've gone for here, we've tried to go for the ones we would actually want to buy. If we were in the market for these and we were looking at the cars in this range, what would we want? So for the Insignia, we've gone for the SRI VX line. Now, every manufacturer is doing this at the moment, sticking a line on the end of their sporty brand, what we've got here. But the one we're kicking off with here, so the price, on the road price, I'm sure you can haggle in a dealership, is £31,495, which it's getting up there on price. Obviously, it does start in the mid-20s, so you don't have to spend that.
But I think to get the sort of nice, sort of sporty-ish looks, you're going to be spending a little bit.
So, well, for the one we've gone for, again, like the prerequisite we said, it's a 2-litre diesel, stereotypical Repmobile engine, 174 horsepower, which...
it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's down on power compared to some of its competitors in other ranges, but I think that is a perfectly reasonable amount of power.
I wouldn't be complaining.
No. Say manual 6-speed gearbox, which... I think more modern days now they might go for more automatics, but this is again what we would want.
And obviously we're aware that in the ideal Retmobile world, people would want the automatic. It's worth mentioning about the Insignia that it does have the option of coming with a 9-speed automatic.
Yeah, which again, probably a popular option.
If
you're in that Retmobile. But this is just us personally what we would have. I would go for the manual, although knowing how bad Vauxhall manual gearboxes are, I might not. But I don't know how bad the autos are either. So we've gone for a nice, lovely blue colour. It's just called navy blue metallic. Can't go wrong with that.
No.
Pretty effort. We've ticked none of the options that came with it, but again, it did come with more things: front and rear parking sensors, sat nav, leather seats.
Good. It had good standard equipment.
Cruise control. 18-inch, very nice 18-inch alloy wheels.
Lovely.
Which for myself, I think it'd probably be the ones I'd pick anyway if it didn't come as standard.
I think we were both surprised at how strong the interior was on this as well.
Yeah, so the interior is where this car, not necessarily class leading, but I think it's a step up compared to where it was before.
Oh God, yeah! Like, it's clearly a good step in the right direction. And once car garages open up to a sufficient amount, we will definitely be going and having a proper look at that.
Yeah. Again, the exterior of the car, extremely handsome, very, very well designed car.
Yeah.
There's not an angle from that car that I think looks ugly.
The only doubt that really creeps into my mind with that is the way it handles, frankly.
Yeah. Now I've been, I won't say unfortunate enough. I've driven quite a few Vauxhalls from like the Corsa, the Astras. A lot of cars at work are all Vauxhalls, and the Sphera and everything like that. I've driven them all at work, and one thing I will say from all of them is the gearbox is terrible on every one of them. It was not good. The way it handled in the corners felt like it didn't have any grip. Again, these weren't sporty ones. They were just your bog standard sort of trim levels. They might have improved on this. The Insignia is the only one I haven't driven.
Yeah, and I would imagine that it does say that it is new for 2020, so they have done some work on it.
And now they've got the Peugeot sprinkle on them, perhaps, because the Peugeots, while they are used to be anyway, not the greatest cars, they didn't always drive that bad.
And they are starting because with some of the cars that they are offering these days, they are starting to find some form again as well. So hopefully that will trickle down into things like the Insignia.
The Vauxhalls, yeah. That would be the only worry for me on this one. But if I was to have one and I was going to buy one, this would be it.
Yeah.
I think I'd take it over the rest of the range. And I think Vauxhall are struggling at the moment with sales, at least, because I saw one the other day where it was no deposit, 0% APR, and no payments for 3 months on a finance deal. They've got cars they cannot shift.
I think that will be true for a lot of car companies at the moment, where they'll probably just have stock they don't know what to do with, I guess. Yeah,
but I think that's a topic for another day. But just interesting to see that you might be able to snap up some real bargains if you are in the market for
chuck diesel into the mix, which isn't really something people want all that much anymore, and you might end up with something rather good on your hands.
Exactly. So the next one we're just going to quickly go on to is probably the sister car to the Insignia, I would say, is the Peugeot 508. Now, if you want to talk about good-looking saloon cars, this one takes the biscuit. I think this is beautiful and really, really good-looking car.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few of these on the road now. They came out, a year ago? Maybe a bit longer than that? Yeah. And every one I've seen, I've always been impressed by how good it looks.
I mean, to be honest, Peugeot are on a roll at the minute with their design department. Even the SUVs, which I personally wouldn't have or don't like, even they look good.
Yeah, for an SUV, you can appreciate that they are a good styling.
Yeah, but credit to them on this. This is one of their finest works.
Yes.
Arguably, it is my favourite looking Peugeot by a long way.
Oh, God, yeah.
Very handsome. Love the streaky lines that come down each side, like the day running lights that look like fangs on the outside. I think that's really aggressive and a nice style to have. But the one we've actually gone for, again, this is the one we would buy if it was our money and we were in the market, is the 508 GT line. Now, there's a few restrictions on the Peugeot which we didn't have on the Vauxhalls. I was quite surprised. You could only have a 1.5 litre diesel. You couldn't have a 2 litre option with this particular trim anyway. But 130 horsepower from the 1.5 diesel.
It's a little lower, but I
It's
expect the economy is a little better, though.
Yeah, but that's what 2 litres are pushing out not that long ago. They do 2 litre diesels.
Yeah.
I know the old Beamers and Mercs and stuff, they were very similar to this, like not that long ago, from a 2 litre diesel. So 130 brake horsepower. It is the blue HDI one, which means it's the more economical diesel engine, which is sort of Peugeot's eco name for it, is the blue.
Yeah, so as you say, given the Retmobile prerequisite we've put on this, it would be well suited to long motorway miles for good economy.
Yeah, well, it says on this that it says on this it'd have an average of 60.1. I don't have the ones available for the Insignia, so I do apologise. It's just not on there.
I would hope that with the WLTP figures that they are now quoting, that it's a little bit closer to accuracy.
Well, this is WLTP for this particular engine is 60.1 mpg, which is nothing to sniffle at. If you are a rep and you're on the motorway, that you're not going to argue with.
You're not.
If you can get it.
Even if you can get into the mid-50s, so 50 plus, I think you would be happy with, I would say, real world.
Yeah, and again, on this one, the option was only a manual, so again, that suited us nicely, but a 6-speed manual.
Yeah.
You could get an automatic, but on a different engine. Which is not a problem. We've gone for Hurricane Grey on this one as well.
Good.
It does look very nice on that car, very sleek and sort of aggressive. Now, where this one comes into its own, again, it had a lot of the standard equipment that the Insignia had. So you've got your parking sensors, your sat navs, the usual gubbins. This one comes in at 29,905. So it's actually like, well, getting on for sort of $2,000 cheaper.
Yeah, and obviously there might be some spec-in differences between them, but one of the things I would state is although the Insignia's interior has improved, from what I remember of the 508's interior, it has some really nice styling cues that are very different to what everybody else offers.
Yeah, it seems to be carrying along a lot of their range as well. So
it's like I remember from the ones I've seen, for example, along sort of like the center console, they had these metallic switch gear that you could press down on underneath the touchscreen, and it looked really classy.
Yeah, so for those watching, I'll chuck a picture on of that interior when I find it. But yeah, very elegant car, very nicely designed for the price, 29,905. If it drives as well as it looks, I think you're onto a winner there.
Plus, I think, at least in the UK, at least anyways, it's quite a unique car. I think it attracts attention in the right way. People look at it and are quite impressed by it usually. That's a nice looking Peugeot.
When I first saw it, it went past, I went, that's a Peugeot.
Yeah.
Like, credit to them. So they've done extremely well there.
I would agree.
So, next one. This is a car that arguably is one of the best in class, I would say, but again, it's all down to opinion. It's the Skoda Octavia. Now, again, this is the brand new one. They've only just released this, so you can start to order them now. We've gone for the trim level, which is SEL First Edition, for the brand new one. We're getting the first edition version of this in a lovely, nice blue colour. We left that standard. I thought it looked very nice, to be honest.
I think, although slightly weaker than some of the competitors around the front, I think that it looks fantastic around the back.
Rear and side profile, bang on.
Super.
Absolutely bang on. Yeah, the new one, I do prefer the old one for the front end.
I don't think they've ruined it, though.
No, it kind of suits the car, but for my personal taste, I think the old one was slightly nicer. But again, design is each to their own. Some people might think that's a lot better. Obviously, the designer did.
But what I would say is, out of all the choices we're talking about today, probably this would be my choice. Reason being, and one of the things we're going to go on to discuss about this car, is the interior.
Yeah. So this particular one, like you say, is the SEL First Edition, which being the first edition comes with a lot of standard equipment. So again, front and rear parking sensor, sat nav, all the usual gubbins, leather seats,
cream leather for free.
Cream leather for free. Now that works for me, does that? But the price comes in at 31,595. So it's £100 more than the Insignia, but I think it's worth it.
Oh, I would say so as well, and I think it may not be just quite as handsome as the Insignia.
Not from the front, but the rear.
But I mean, it's still by no means a bad-looking car. I think where you're winning, and winning big, is the interior.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it, I think it's the only one that has a digital dash out of our options, potentially.
It might be options on the other, but from what we've got selected...
Yeah,
yes.
We've got a digital dash here, and obviously quite a lot of that equipment's probably lifted from the VW Audi
which
line.
It is. The Octavia, for those of you who don't know, the underneath platform is a Golf. a Golf chassis, Golf engines, and Golf things. So it's probably the smallest car in the range, but it is a saloon that's stretched out slightly, which I suppose it's like a Golf estate size.
But I think you're going to get... I mean, as I say, I've had a good... I wasn't the newest Octavia, don't get me wrong, but I was impressed by the interior and the infotainment system from that.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be disappointed with this.
No.
And although I haven't used... This is why we need to go and see the new Insignia and have a play about with the infotainment system, because just from previous models that I've seen, I would hazard a guess that the new Octavia's infotainment system will probably be quite good.
It'd be better. Well, I say I've been in a few Vauxhall, not necessarily in the Insignia, it's the only one I haven't been in, but I've been in ones above it and below it in terms of size, and the interior materials, again, it might be different now, Peugeot have got hold of it, but the interior material was always very poor. It's a cheap car, but they're now not cheap. They're competing against stuff like this.
That's the thing.
And the Skoda, it is a Golf. You get the materials from the Golf. You get the infotainment systems from the Golf.
You're getting build quality.
You're getting build quality of the Golfs and stuff like that, which is good, and they are solid cars. So I think for materials and actual build quality, this is going to wipe the floor with the Insignia and potentially the Peugeot again. But we'll have to see.
We'll have to have a look at all of these, obviously, when we can. I think the Skoda is a great choice.
Yeah. So again, for £100 more, this one's again 2-litre diesel, only available in automatic on this 150 horsepower engine.
True.
You could get a 115 horsepower one with a manual, but with this is the one we buy. I want the bit more power.
Yeah, in this occasion, because we are looking for something that, although it would be comfortable on the motorway, we do want a little bit of fun thrown in there as well.
While I would prefer a manual, I think 115 horsepower in a car this size is not enough.
No.
So we just have to go for that one there. Okay, so straight on to the next one. This is the controversial choice in here because it is by far the largest car in terms of size. This is the Kia Stinger. Now, we've talked about the Stinger before. We both like it. I don't think there's anything we dislike about the car in many senses. But this one we've gone for, obviously, again, this is a 2.2 diesel, which is the biggest engine of the bunch. But it's got 197 horsepower.
So it's enough.
It's the most powerful. 0 to 67.3 seconds. And according to this anyway, a combined MPG of 50.4, which is down. But
it is down. I think that is potentially something that will throw it off for me because it's losing some of that Repmobile prerequisite that we were going for. Because if it's claiming the best of 50 MPG, chances are in the real world you're probably going to be getting 40s. And I don't think if you're living on the motorway and you're driving a diesel anyway, with the options we've already discussed, it's not really good enough for me.
It is actually, as well, as standard, the most expensive car. So this one particular one is £34,700. So it is...
And we've not optioned that particularly.
No, this is just the GT line spec. So this is just what you would go and get. I said biggest engine, though, and most powerful. Biggest car as well. So space-wise and length-wise, it's huge, which will impact your parking and things like that.
But I think the trouble with that, though, potentially is, although it's a long car, it's got a really raking roofline in the back. So I'm not actually sure what it will be like for adults back there.
I've been in a Stinger.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I did fit.
You did?
You're taller than me, so it might be a little bit different for you, and you have abnormally long legs.
It's true.
But I fit in it okay.
And I think that's, again, once the car garages open up again, that's something we're definitely going to have to test and come back to the podcast with. But my honest gut feeling with the Stinger is that extra 50 or so brake horsepower over the Skoda, to me, doesn't matter enough. No. I would rather have the Skoda. As I say, the Skoda doesn't have quite of a savage raking roofline as well, so potentially headroom might be improved.
I think where this one would come into its own is for the fun aspect.
Yeah, this is where the swing goes to the fun, doesn't it?
Again, it depends what you want from a car. Now, again, this one we have picked, the standard colour that Kia gave us on this car was bright orange.
We both quite like that.
And that dog, I like the colour. Would I be brave enough to actually have it in real life.
I would be too worried about resale value.
I think, yeah, while I would actually have it, and this is obviously theoretical, so I've selected the orange because I think, yes, I'd have it. In real life, I think you would actually have to look at resale value and think, it's bright orange, it's a big saloon car, it's going to hemorrhage enough money as it is. Well, do I want to add to that?
Yeah, do you want to sort of go safe and just get a grey or blue or something?
Yeah, but this is theoretical, there's no actual real money involved, so yes, I'm having the orange.
Yeah, I thought it was quite cool.
Very, very bold colour for a saloon car, but again, it draws attention. Very handsome car. I do like the looks of the Stinger.
I do. I don't like it more than... Interestingly, though, compared to the Skoda and the Insignia, and the 508, I don't think it's that particularly handsome.
No, now the competition's
that's the thing. They've stepped up to
Yeah.
the point where... Yeah, it's interesting. And the interior of the Stinger,
It's quite old now.
I don't think it has a patch on the all-new Octavia.
No, it's quite old now. It's getting when they do a facelift one or a new one, you never know. It might, step back up to it. The one thing you do get on this, which is probably good to mention for a rep car, 7-year warranty.
True, very true.
That could be the swinger.
And Stinger are known for decent build quality as well, aren't they? So yeah.
If they're going to give you a 7-year warranty, they've got to be fairly confident in the product that they're putting out.
Yeah, so I would agree. That's a good consideration to have on that.
The others do have additional warranty extensions, but you have to pay for it as an extra cost.
Yeah.
The standard one is 3 years on most of those. I think the Vauxhall was 5, but most are 3.
Yeah, but I think even for me, I think, as you say, the Stinger is a nice car. I do like it, but I think the interior that you're being offered there is nothing compared to the infotainment and styling that you get on, say, the Skoda or the 508.
No, I would agree with you on there. So, final one. Again, we know we've missed a couple here, but we're just doing cars we wouldn't normally sort of look at. But the Mazda 6. The new Mazda 6, to be honest, good looker.
It's a good looking car, as is the new Mazda 3.
I don't like the new Mazda 3.
The hatchback, no. The saloon, yes, for the new Mazda 3.
I'd agree with you on that. I just think the back end on the hatchback is just, personal opinion, I just don't like it. But again, to each their own.
Yep.
But the Mazda 6, always been there, but never really that popular. You see a few of them knocking around, particularly in the older shape, but I only know one person who's got one of these.
Yeah.
Which, again, maybe more of the badge than the actual car. But very good looking. We've gone for the GT Sport Nav Plus. We've done this out of fairity to match it up against the Stinger because it is sort of a sloping sort of roofline saloon car.
These two are competing against each other, essentially.
Very long bonnet sort of coming out. But this is 33,705, so it is still cheaper by getting on for £1,000.
Yeah.
But again, you can probably haggle. But we're going off the actual prices here. We've gone for it in a lovely grey colour.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice. Sort of sleek design, very stealthy looking colour, which I think is good for a repmobile. You don't want to be, like the Kia, it is very ostentatious in a bright orange, but...
arguably, if you are asking it on a daily basis to fulfill some repmobile duties, one of those is to blend in.
Yeah, but the interesting thing with this one, 2.2 engine like the Kia.
Yeah.
However, it's only got 135 horsepower.
Yeah, you see, when you compare it like that, it's not enough. Now, what's the economy that's being claimed on
53.
this? So it's not even that much more economical either.
No, which did surprise me. There is, to be fair, the way that I don't understand what Mazda have done with this, because it says it's the 2.2 Skyactiv diesel, which is fine, but then it says 184 and then in brackets 135. So I'm not sure which power output. Oh, hang on. Sorry. They've got a little keynote underneath here.
Go on.
184 is the horsepower. 135 is kilowatt power.
Got it. That makes far more sense.
184 for the actual power. So again, not as much.
But we're not talking much down now.
This is a smaller, lighter car.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So it
that
would
actually-
be very
very
close.
minimal.
Very close.
Yeah, but again, not very economical at 53 for a car of that type. The Sky Active was supposed to have been brought out to be very economical.
But I think it is marginally more economical than the Stinger, if I remember
Yes,
rightly.
it's 2 or 3 miles per gallon more.
Yeah.
Which, again, in the real world might be the one thing that swings you. The one thing I'll say about the Mazda is the suspension setup and things like that, I know is quite good. They are quite comfortable.
And you got to bear in mind as well, Mazda do know how to make a sports car. Just look at the MX-5 for proof of that.
Yeah.
They have those skills.
Yeah, now I went on along. To be fair, just before they did the facelift to this Mazda, someone at work has the previous facelift version. We went on a long drive on a work trip in it, and I was sat in that car for about 3 hours. Very comfortable, like exceptionally comfortable. The seats were bang on. The suspension was lovely. His was an automatic, not a manual, so I'm not sure what the manual would be like. But my dad had one for about 2 weeks, a Mazda 6, and the only thing he complained about was the gearbox.
Yeah.
Might have improved it.
Yeah, it may well have
Not
improved.
sure.
Nowadays.
Would have to find out for ourselves. But that was the only thing he complained about in that car. The ride was fine, comfortable seats, bad gearbox.
I think the trouble with this one, though, unfortunately, is, again, I think the interior isn't as strong as some of the other ones we're looking at.
No, and that I think, although better than the Kia.
Yes.
And to be honest, for £34,000, it is, £33,705, it is cheaper than the Kia. The interior, I think, slightly better. Now, we have, the one thing I will say, we have actually selected, because the standard colour Mazda give you, even though it's a standard, is an £800 extra. So we took that colour off and went for a cheaper colour, but added for £200 to bring it back up to the same price. The cream Napa leather.
Yeah, we just like cream leather.
But it's a different type of leather than standard, which feels really nice.
Okay.
So I think
cool.
if you're going to be spending a lot of time in this car as a rep, that
Yeah, I mean,
help.
to fulfill its rep sort of requisite, one of the things, it has to be a nice place to be. The infotainment system needs to be clear and intuitive, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with it if you are doing a lot of motorway miles.
Now, I should say all of these cars do come with your modern things, because they're all the new generation, like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So the internal sat navs and things like that now are pretty much irrelevant, because people will just use Google Maps.
Yeah.
But should you not have to, I think the Mazda system is not that bad. I've only used it once and a little play with it. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I think the Skoda would still win on that front.
Yeah.
But we'll have to look at the updated version for this. It could be better. So those are the ones I think we would look at. So again, I think I might know what you're going to say, but if it was your money, you had to buy one out of these options, where you placing your cash?
Skoda Octavia for me.
For yourself, yeah. I would probably agree.
And I think what has really swung me for that is it's a handsome car. All of these are handsome.
Yeah,
None of them are bad looking. There's not a
bad
bad looking car in there. So looks are subjective. I quite like the Skoda. It may not be the biggest that we've seen, and it isn't the most powerful either. But what it does have, which I feel that the others don't in some respects, is that lovely infotainment system. I think it's a really nice place to be and sit in.
Yeah.
I think it's fast enough. For me, if it was my money on the line, I would be going for the Octavia.
Yeah. I mean, I would as well, for the similar reasons you've said. If it was us and we were doing a rep, I don't need a car any bigger than that. Again, it's built out of all the same stuff that the Golf is built out of, so you know it's solid.
Yeah.
I think, again, handsome car, reasonably priced in this sort of market, I think, considering you are getting that premium material and premium brand with the lower badge.
Yeah.
And like you say, if it was a manual, it would be an absolute, for me, 100% would go for that. I still will go for it, but I think if it was a manual, it'd be even clearer.
I think they've done a great job with it, and I think if it was my money, that's probably where I'd be at with that.
Yeah, same for me, and it will probably hold its value quite well, given the fact that most VWs in that size do.
Yeah.
The Skodas might tend to as well. But I think that's probably a good place to wrap us up there. Let us know what you thought in the comments, or which sort of repmobile you would go for. We will be back again next week for another topic. As unfortunately, it was going to be our roundup from the Goodwood Festival of Speed, because we should have been there on the day this is airing. Obviously, unfortunately, that is not happening now. It's been cancelled for the year until next year. So we will do another topic. But any suggestions that you guys have, let us know in the comments. Message us. We will do that for you. And if not, we will see you next week.
Yeah, see you later.
See you later.